second. Give me a second. Give me a second.
Welcome to the Morning Ramble. That's how we're gonna keep that.
All right. Actually, that's a pretty good introduction. Welcome to the Morning Ramble.
Okay.
I'm Matt. That's Eric. He's taking a drink right now.
We did not intend to do that. I don't know why you started doing that.
I had mic and headphones.
You have to understand, it sounds really cool with headphones on and these mics. So
wear headphones.
Mm-hmm.
Or don't. I can't tell you how to do this.
Turn the volume up really loud.
Listen
it's over.
It is over. Well, mostly over.
Oh, well, actually, no. You're right. It's not actually over, which we'll come back to.
All right. So, Election Day 2018 is in the bag. That was on Tuesday.
Yep.
Right now, we're closing in at the end of the week, as we usually do with the Morning Ramble.
Yep.
We did a little election preview on Monday. If you want to watch that. It's not going to be pertinent information anymore because we already have the results.
That's right, but we were all correct on our...
Yeah, we were very close.
I think we were. I think everyone kind of was expecting the same thing, you know.
It was pretty predictable.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Democrats took the House.
Yep, so let's pull that up. So right now, we don't have all the results, but we have pretty much all of them. There's a couple...
Yeah,
there's a couple seats
There's
waiting.
enough to know that
Democrats have
the majority of the House right now.
Yes, they do, and that was expected. Republicans expected it. Democrats expected it. They needed 25 seats to take the House. I think the last time I heard they took 28, 29, something around there.
Well, we can actually see the percentages there.
Yeah, so we saw the percent. Yeah, so right now, as far as the confirmed seats, Democrat Party has 225, so 51.7%. The Republicans have 197, which is 45.3%. So,
yeah, and there's a couple of seats that are still getting counted right now.
Yeah.
But
they're really tight. It's looking. They'll probably be mostly Democrat, I'm guessing. Probably going to go that way from what I was looking at. I don't know the exact number of what's still up.
Oh, yeah, I wanted to address something quick.
Oh, good.
Today, I don't have a picture for it. It was either today or yesterday. The president put out a tweet or something.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
he doesn't usually tweet, so I'm interested.
I'm amazed that you managed to keep a straight face that long.
It's a talent.
That a lot of signatures weren't matching up. I do want to point out that at least in my place, they were using a new system where they didn't have a stylus.
Okay.
So your signature was with your finger.
Well, that's odd because mine was not. Mine had. Normally, there's a big book. If you voted, there's a big book with your name and your signature, and then you sign next to it. My voting booth also had an electrical system, and they had a screen that turned over, and they had a stylus, and I was able to sign pretty well, and I thought it worked pretty well. But I'm surprised they didn't have a stylus for you.
Well, mine's a smaller place, which is actually why I'm kind of surprised.
Mine's in the basement of a church. I mean, it's pretty small, too.
Yeah, well, mine's a fire hall. I think that my... actually, you know what? Our sizes of our voter rolls are probably pretty similar.
Yeah.
But last year, not last year, 2016 election, we had the electronic voting, but we didn't have the electronic filing system.
Yep, same thing. Yep.
But this year, I had both electronic, and that was a little weird. A lot of elderly people do not know how to sign their names on that.
No.
And most people, when they're doing that, they'll get like a scribble, and they'll be like, all right, that's fine. I'm not saying that that's what happened. I'm just saying that is a possibility.
No, you're right. That is that I agree with that, but that is not the main conflict as far as the post-election issues that we're having, especially down in Florida and Georgia, which we'll come back to.
Yes. I just wanted to get that out of my head before I forgot.
No, also, I did hear him say that.
Also, for the first time ever, I had trouble voting.
That's right.
Yeah, I went in there, and I haven't changed my address. I haven't changed my party, which is no official affiliation. I haven't changed anything. Well, but I went in, and they're like, "You're inactive on the ballot," and I was like, there's got to be some kind of mistake. I vote every election.
Yeah.
I haven't moved or anything. And they're like, well, you just got to fill out this form. It wasn't like a provincial vote or anything.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that big of a deal.
Did they ask for ID?
Well, weirdly enough, no, but they also know who I am. So
yeah,
they're like, well, did you not vote last year? I was like, the last election? I was like, yeah,
that shouldn't work.
did.
That shouldn't happen either because my wife, I made her register for the 2016 election. She ended up not voting, but she was still listed as active on the system. And
right.
She just showed up to the voting booth, and because it was her first time,
I've never had a problem like that before.
That's odd. Maybe because you're an independent, and they're just like, we don't know where he's voting, so let's try to prevent him.
I don't know. It was strange though.
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain that I'm one of the only independents in that area.
Probably.
Because just looking at it, they're all either mostly to the right.
They're all red. We live in a very red county.
They're 98% red.
Yeah, in our state. Well, actually, let's move on to the Senate. Talking about the Senate, we'll move up the votes for that. But before I pull that up, but in our state, our governor and our senator that was up, both the incumbent, they both stayed. They're both Democrat. But our county stayed red for both of them anyway.
Right.
I believe, Tom Wolf, our governor, that went for Tom Wolf, Luzerne County, which I was not surprised with because the Republican candidate wasn't very strong. But anyway, so the Senate seats, that stayed Republican, and I think Republicans actually picked up a couple.
I'm not surprised by that.
Yeah, they picked up 3, I think. That was expected. I mean, definitely not a blue wave or a red wave, I would say. Kind of a stagnant tide. I don't really know what to say. It's really much normal.
It was a still blue of purple.
Mm. Yep.
Yeah, basically.
It was. There really wasn't much going on. I mean, now, if the Democrats would have took the Senate, then you can call that a wave and Republicans lost. Like, that would have been bad. But they didn't. Republican Party, 51 seats. Democrat Party, 44. Other parties, which are the 2 independents, which pretty much go Democrat, which is Bernie Sanders and the other gentleman.
I like how you're just never going to learn his name.
I'm not. I didn't look up his name. If you watched the previous video, I didn't know his name. It's funny. I was watching the results on ABC News. I saw him come up, and they said he won, and I'm like, that's the guy. I don't remember the
You know what?
name.
I did the same
Did
thing.
you? I saw him. I'm like...
And I still don't remember his name.
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes, he leans to the left.
The reason why I don't know his name is because he doesn't do anything. He's just a follower. At least Bernie Sanders, I don't like the guy, but he speaks his mind, no matter how crazy it is.
That's true. Bernie Sanders is a younger version of the Crypt Keeper.
Mm.
I'd like to have a beer with him.
I would not, because I'd have to pay for it.
Bernie, come on over to PA. I'll buy you a beer.
And I will not. So, yeah, the Senate stayed. PA stayed blue. What was some other seats? Oh, Texas. We got to talk about Texas.
We sure do got to talk about Texas.
People were very upset. Very upset. Beto O'Rourke. Is that how you say his last name?
Yeah.
Is it Beta? I don't know.
I don't know.
He has a weird first name for a white guy.
I've just been calling him O'Rourke the entire time.
Yeah. A lot of Democrats wanted him to win, and he outspent Ted Cruz like crazy. I think he visited every county in Texas. I read. It was really close. It wasn't. Everyone was saying it was making him nervous, like people who were like Ted Cruz, but I didn't think he was going to win. But he only lost by 3 points, 3 or 4 points.
Yeah.
That's not.
I'm very shocked that Texas had that close of a race.
That is a little.
Honestly, that's kind of. I mean, I know that he didn't win,
but
people should look at that and say, "All right."
Maybe people. That is true. That is true. But at the same time, if you look at, I think it because people were saying that because I think Ted Cruz in his first Senate race, I think he beat his Democratic opponent by like 16 points. It was something crazy.
Right.
So to only win by that close of a margin, but we don't know what the political field is going to be like in 6 years when Ted Cruz is up again.
That's 100% true.
So, while it was a good accomplishment. You know, the amount of money he spent was like presidential money. Like he spent millions of dollars, like crazy amounts of money. I don't even know what the total was. I knew it was over 100 million. Like it was something crazy.
That is pretty insane. And having spent that much money and not coming up with anything,
yeah,
that's gotta suck.
Yeah. So Texas is red. Governor's red.
I would be absolutely shocked if Texas ever turned blue.
Yeah.
But who knows? It's really hard to predict the climate, because did we ever expect a political climate like what we have now? I certainly didn't.
No, but in all intensive purposes, I mean, I don't know, like it's still kind of the same across the board. Like PA, even though it went for Trump 2 years ago, we've always had a split Senate. Like we've had one senator who's Democrat and one that's Republican, and I would have been astonished if we went full red, because PA's never been full red. Well, maybe they have, but not in a while. So
not in our lifetimes.
No. What are some other races that came up? The governor's race, not too much craziness going on. I know Stacey Abrams. Do you know? That was the one Democratic governor candidate in Georgia. She had some like radical like gun control views. Like she wanted to confiscate weapons from people. She lost by a ton. Like it wasn't even close. And then she came out, and you know, she didn't come out and she wasn't like what was it, Barletta lost against Casey in the PA, and he, you know, Casey during his acceptance speech talked about the very nice phone call Barletta gave him. Beto O'Rourke, you know, I know he did something for Ted Cruz when he lost, and she comes out and she's just starts saying like, I was racist and I want to recount. Like, you know, I hate to see that, because it's like, you know, it's the way that the system works, and you know, it wasn't even like a close race. It wasn't like she lost by like 50,000 votes. It was like, I think 66 to 30 something. You know,
that's kind of like when people were shocked when Trump won.
Yeah.
When he was like, when he was doing that acceptance speech and he was talking about her, he's like, listen, she's a nice lady and she did a lot for this country.
Mm-hmm.
And then the people in his crowd were booing when he said that.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that is so strange, because a lot of times when you get these victories, these political victories, you do find out that the other candidate called and was like, hey.
You become very humble very quick.
Yeah. And I mean, that's just how the system goes.
Yep.
It's very interesting.
All right, yeah, moving on to kind of continue talking about the Senate races, but in a particular state. And this is going to be a segment, so we're bringing in, this is Rubio Watch, kind of.
Yes.
It's a serious Rubio Watch.
Yes. We're not making fun of him this time.
No, we're not. We never make fun of Rubio.
He is our Prometheus.
That's right. Our Spartacus. That's Booker. No crazy guitar solos this time. Maybe a little bit.
Maybe just a little.
Just a little.
Can we have banjo this time?
Maybe. We'll see.
Thank you.
We will see. So, we're going to talk about Florida, because it is the most interesting state in this country.
But I really can't argue with that.
It's a fact. It's an absolute fact. So the Senate race and the governor's race was super close. Now, before we start talking about it, Florida's always close in past. I think Rick Scott, their current governor, won 4 years ago by like a very hair of a margin. He is running for the second Senate seat in Florida, and he beat what was it? Hold on, Nelson, the Democratic candidate. I don't know anything about him, but he's the incumbent. He's the current sitting senator, by just like a percentage point. I remember I was watching it, and the governor's race was within like 50 votes, 50,000, not 50 votes. That'd be crazy. 50,000 votes at some times though. So it was like, 50.1 to, 49.9. So things are still being counted down there, I believe. I don't think everything's completely confirmed yet.
Right.
But Rubio and his instincts. No, I saw Rubio. He was tweeting about some stuff, and I'll throw up this article here. This is from the Daily Wire. So Marco Rubio Broward County officials and Dems trying to steal Rick Scott's victory in Senate. Now, that's a little misleading, but basically, there's been some funky things happening down there in a very deep blue county. I believe this county is, I don't know Florida very well, but I think it's a little bit south of Miami, I was reading. And there was a video that Rubio shared, and I don't have the video for you, but I have the screenshot of it. And he shared this. The video posted by an independent congressional candidate in 2018 who was endorsed by Bernie Sanders in 2016. It shows that the Broward County, am I saying that word, Broward?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's Florida. Who cares?
Yeah. I was about to say the same thing.
Ballots being transported from polling places in private cars. And then it says here, has anyone in local media looked into this claim or asked elections department about it? So the video shows the polling, the people who run the polling place, they were like taking ballots out of this person's car and putting them into like a rented truck. And then they were taking them out of the building. And it was very weird. And it's not how you transport official election ballots. You know, I don't know what the exact procedures are, but I guess Rick Scott, the current governor, issued that the county needs to turn over all their ballots and like the times and everything of like what happened. It's just looking a little weird, you know, especially in Florida of all places, because everything is so close.
It's so weird looking at that stuff and realizing that, you know, our polling places are using electric voting.
Yeah.
Some places are still using
that's what's crazy
paper
about it.
votes. And those election machines, they're very easy.
Yeah.
I really don't understand why we're still using paper votes. Now, there were some candidates that were, I don't remember who they were.
Yeah.
But they were harping on all elections should be paper votes. All elections should be paper votes.
That's weird.
I 100% disagree with that.
Yeah.
In our current society, which is very technologically based, it doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. And because I was wondering that too, like, why are we using paper? Now, I know aren't some ballots, like the paper ones, the ones that you mail in or something like that?
There are quite a few mail-in ballots. That's fine. You can't get away from that.
Yeah.
It does kind of confuse me that there's no online option when there's an online option to do, you know, permits, licenses, registrations, everything else, but voting.
Yeah.
That seems weird to me. But you know, I'm not a politician, and I don't have any control over that. But absentee ballots are a thing, but normally they're counted before the election. And if anything squirrely is going on with them, we normally know it before the election day.
Yeah. And I agree. I completely agree with that. But I think we're going to see, definitely in our lifetime, I think we're going to see a more versatile election system. I truly think that.
I look forward to it.
Yeah. I have no doubt that it's going to happen. As younger people come in, it's going to happen. It's a little odd in Florida. It does look though that Rick Scott, the current governor, is going to be the second senator, and Ron DeSantis is going to be the next governor. So Florida will be 100% red.
Yes, Santa Claus.
Except for Congress. Santa Claus. Why Santa Claus?
Rob DeSantis. Mr. DeSantis. Santa Claus.
Okay.
Put the lines together, Eric.
All right.
Illuminati confirmed. Oh, but also, just as a little aside to the people at home who watch, have we gone too far with Rubio Watch? Let us know in the comments down below.
I don't care what they say. It's for me. Rubio Watch is my segment.
When I'm the one who made it up.
Yeah, you did make it up. And then I went full speed ahead with it.
You did go ham with it. Anyway, we've got something else here.
Yeah, so I wanted to kind of maneuver to a tweet that you sent me. Kind of what you were talking about. Did you want to read that?
All
and
right.
I think we'll break it down point by point because he kind of lists it in a way, and I agree with some and disagree with others. So.
I do too, and that's why I wanted to go over this.
Yeah.
Elections should be over a 3-day holiday weekend. You should be registered when you get any state-issued ID. The voting age should be 16. Number of polling places should be based on population and ease of access. Gerrymandering should be illegal, and the Electoral College should be the toilet.
Okay.
I'm guessing that means flushed.
Flushed, yeah. So elections should be over a 3-day holiday weekend. I think that's a little much. 3-day weekend. I think it should be on a weekend. I think it should be a Saturday, or I think it should be a national holiday. I think we talked about this.
Yes, we did.
We both agree. I honestly think the majority of the country agrees. It's just a matter of someone in Congress or the Senate putting a bill through to make it happen.
Yeah.
So call your congressman.
Ask them, why is Election Day on a Tuesday?
What do we need to do to change it?
Does that make any sense?
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. It might have made sense back in the day.
Second Tuesday in November? That doesn't make any sense. Why do we do this? Or no, first Tuesday in November.
Yep, that was the first Tuesday.
How about the first Saturday of November?
That would make too much sense.
Or just make the first Tuesday of November a holiday.
Yeah.
National Election Day.
I mean, granted, I don't find it super hard to vote.
No.
But there are people who work 12-hour shifts. I work generally 8s. Mm-hmm. I might work a little longer.
Yeah.
But people who work like 8 to 8,
mm-hmm.
they can't vote.
Yeah.
Unless they do absentee ballots, which are kind of a pain.
It is. I mean, there's definitely people in very hard situations where they can't vote. I mean, I work on a typical day. I work a 14-hour, 15-hour day, but it's a little bit different scenario for me. My one job actually says if I can't vote, like they offer 2 hours of personal time that doesn't affect my accruing time to go vote if I can't. I just took off an hour in the middle of the day and went and voted and, made time. But I understand people have different jobs than the one that I work at.
Right.
And
this isn't really a problem for us. We just really
we recognize that
we
it's
want
an
people
issue.
to vote.
Yes. People who work in the medical field, I'm sure it's extremely difficult.
Yeah.
Nurses, doctors, I don't know what kind of shifts they work, but I'm sure they work doubles.
Yeah. I mean, if we had an online voting option,
yes,
I really feel like that would solve the vast majority of the troubles.
Absolutely.
Now, granted, I will say this.
Yeah.
A lot of people bring up senior citizens and stuff like that when it comes to voting, people who can't drive.
Mm-hmm.
There was public transportation out the wazoo.
Yes.
Uber and Lyft were offering free rides to the polling places. There were options there,
yes,
which is cool.
Especially in urban areas. If you're in an urban area, there was no reason not to vote if you had the time between 7 and 8 o'clock for most states. There was no reason not to vote.
I also want to bring up something that I saw, and I'm not going to put it up because it was a person I know's
mm-hmm.
status, and his basic idea was, I don't vote because I just can't keep up with politics. So the idea of voting seemed stupid to him because he was completely uninterested and uneducated with politics. What do you think about that?
I get it. I've explained. A lot of people have asked me, like relatives and friends, like they've asked me questions and stuff. And I'm not saying I know everything because I definitely don't. I work with some people that are very into politics, like myself. But a lot of things just don't come naturally to them. Maybe they didn't have a good government class growing up, or maybe they just don't care. And now that they're older and they do somewhat care, it's overwhelming. They don't understand the difference. I mean, a lot of people understand what the Congress, for Congress, you have the House and the Senate. But then people don't realize, well, do you understand you have state senators? How about state congressmen? People don't realize that.
You have local governments.
Local government is more important than federal in your day-to-day life, period.
Yes.
They make the decisions that affect you directly, in most cases. So I get that, but at the same time, we live in a world that is filled with information.
It wouldn't be hard to get educated on this stuff.
No.
But to the people who say, I don't care, I would say, don't vote.
No, don't vote.
Because if you don't care, I can't force you to care. No one can force you to care. Just don't put your hat in any ring and just go for it.
If you don't vote and all of a sudden you watch Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio talk about how polar bears are dying, and you say, you know what, I'm going to vote. I'm going to go do it now because, Brad Pitt told me to. Just don't. I don't want your vote placed. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I don't understand those celebrity things. Like, that's what's convincing you. That guy in that movie that you liked, it's weird. I could understand why it's confusing for that person, but You know, I mean, we have like Facebook's just like get to know your representatives, and like you can click a button on the thing that you're always on and just read a little bit about them.
That was actually very, very interesting.
I like that Facebook does that. A lot of people get annoyed by it. I like it. It's part of like the dashboard there.
And then I got the notifications like you got new representatives, and they're the same ones as you had.
Yeah, they were the same.
But hey, they're trying. That's all really that one can ask.
Yep. So next part here, this one's quick. You should be registered when you get any state-issued ID. Agreed. There shouldn't even be a question about that.
That's easy. They've already got all your information.
Why is it different? You vote in that state. You have
when
a
you're
county.
signing up for it.
Yep.
Say what party you want to do or no party affiliation.
Mm-hmm. Same thing as organ donor. Are you an organ donor? Are you Democrat? Are you Republican? Are you not listed? Whatever, independent.
How hard would it be to just put a little X on a?
Your address is listed on it.
Yeah.
You have to have a county. I mean, yeah.
I should turn the sound off of that.
Okay. All right. So the voting age should be 16. Matt?
Disagree.
Disagree hard.
Hard disagree.
All right. I thought
16-year-olds don't know.
No.
They're not adults. When you're an adult, you're registered to vote.
I'm even more. I don't know if I should say my actual views.
What? You should be 21 to vote.
Landowner.
I rent though.
All right, maybe not landowner. I think that I don't think it should go that far, but I do think that you need to have some type of investment into the society in order to make a decision. Now that being said, I don't think I don't want that put into a law, you know, but 18, 21, if someone wanted to raise it, I'm totally fine with that. You know, because when you're 18, you just graduated high school, you probably haven't had a full-time job. If you have a car, you might or might not be paying on it, or all the things that requires it. You know, your family's helping you out, so
I think it should be 18.
Yeah, 18. It could stay at 18.
I just like 18.
I'm not against 18.
It's a good round age. If you're considered an adult at 18, you should.
But if people start saying, "Oh, 16," no, stop.
No 16.
No, stop. All right, so. Next line. Number of polling places should be based on population and ease of access.
I mean, I think it basically is, isn't it?
Probably. They probably try, but I know in a lot of urban areas they have a hard time with it.
It's hard to expect how many people are actually going to go out to vote.
It is, but I what was it? Again, Florida. Keeping it on Florida. I saw like giant lines just down the sidewalk, around the block. You know. Yeah. That's tough, especially when you're on your way to work or on your way home.
With me, my voting was easy. I was told that there was over half of the population that normally votes, I mean, that is registered to vote, came out to vote, which is weird for a midterm.
Yeah.
It was constant all day, but, you know, our population isn't that high.
No.
So voting was fairly easy. So maybe a couple more polling places, but that's hard to do because it's mostly volunteer work.
It is. It is mostly volunteer work. Where I went, there's usually the same guy that works the first part of it, and then there was like two younger kids sitting there, and they just looked bored out of their mind. I'm like, who brought them here?
Who brought these kids here?
You know, they were not happy. But you know, that's a good argument for online voting. You would have to have less volunteers. Less man
voting
hours.
Would be so easy.
Oh, it would be, and you'd have a lot more percentage.
I wouldn't
of
have to
voting.
I wouldn't have to put pants on.
Nope.
Man, that would be great.
I mean, if we could register our cars and stuff online, I mean, you know, like I don't understand.
Getting a new ID online.
Yeah. Gerrymandering should be illegal. That's hard, because gerrymandering. So, real quick, what gerrymandering is, basically. After the census, if you watched our last video, we talked a little bit about how this election will affect the 2020 census. Basically, your state gets drawn into districts based off of population. It gets put through the state legislative. They agree on it. The governor sees it. He signs off. That's your new district for the next 10 years.
Right.
We won't go too much into... okay, I'll just read the next line because it kind of goes hand in hand. And then it says, and the Electoral College should be flushed down the toilet. So we won't go to we have a video on the Electoral College. I'll put a link for that down below. Watch it if you're interested in our main views on that. But as far as making it illegal, who would dictate that? Would it have to be an attorney
Absolutely.
general? Because you have your physical, you have your congressmen that draw it up. So
it's like we said, I'd be very interested in reforming it.
Yeah.
I'm not terribly interested in just getting rid of it. I'm interested in reform. I just don't know how, because I'm not a genius.
Yeah.
But there are a bunch of people out there that if we put them together,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they could come up with something.
Yeah. I mean, I would want to hear. I'm not closed to ideas, but I am 100% closed to mob vote. Like, just whoever has the most votes.
Right.
It's because we're a big country, and we have. I know we're closing in on this, but someone put out, I think it was like, oh, here's how many votes went towards senators for Democrats and Republicans, and why is the Senate still held by Republicans? Because I think Democrats had several votes more than Republicans. And the thing is like you're kind of lumping the whole United States into one with that, and that's not how the United States works. We are a United States, multiple states republic. Just because more people in California want to elect their Democratic representative and more people in Alabama want to elect more of the Republican representative, just because they're a lesser population, doesn't mean that they should be overruled. And
Right.
That's what makes the electoral system relevant and necessary from my point of view. But I understand people, like you, and that they want reform. People who want it completely abolished, I just think don't understand.
The thing that confuses me about it is those electoral voters.
That's the thing that confuses me.
That's the thing that gets me.
Why are there physical people? And this is what,
And why can they decide for themselves
if they
against
changed what the population
the
says?
population?
That's
I don't
weird.
like that.
No, that is weird. I completely agree with that. I think it should
So
be more.
that's the reform that I'm talking about.
I think it should be more of the, like you said, like still electoral votes, but more of a, not hypothetical, but more representative whole.
Right.
I agree.
All right.
So yeah, 50-50 on that, but
Well, guys,
we'll see what happens next 2 years.
I have thoroughly enjoyed this episode
Mm-hmm.
of the Morning Ramble. It had a weird start,
It did. I don't know what we're doing.
but hey, that's cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us.
All right.
Goodbye.
Bye.